There is something beneath the ocean, something built. Okay, just picture this scene for a second. It's 1942, right in the thick of World War II. We've got a military pilot flying a high-stakes, routine mission over the Atlantic Ocean, just off the eastern coast of America. The sky, perfectly clear. The sea is just utterly calm. But as he looks down, he doesn't see the sun reflecting, and he doesn't see fire. He sees this glow. As he drops down a bit in altitude, this absolutely staggering image comes into focus right beneath the waves. We're talking straight geometric patterns, these massive, aligned shapes that look exactly like streets, towers, and platforms. It's literally glowing like a city made of glass. And he lights just one chilling line in his logbook. There is something beneath the ocean, something built.
Welcome to The Explainer. Whether you're tuning in today from the USA, Canada, Australia, Hong Kong, or Thailand, we are going on a really fast-paced, high-stakes journey. We're going from the illusions we see right on the surface of our planet, straight down into the subterranean and subglacial secrets of unrecorded human history. We're going to be looking at these monumental anomalies scattered all across the globe, from the waters of the Atlantic to the totally unforgiving ice of Antarctica, the silent valleys of Alaska, and even the ground directly beneath our major cities. So get ready, because we're about to challenge exactly what we think we know about the timeline of our world.
Okay, let's dive right into this first section, Phantoms of the Surface. Because sometimes anomalies right on the surface can totally trick our senses, places where a solid reality just kind of bends, or even erases itself entirely.
To really grasp this, we have to look at two astonishing historical accounts that perfectly contrast these sensory illusions. On the left here, we've got sound without a source. Picture this. It's 1889. A traveler is staying in this ancient, fog-drenched Scottish castle. Locals actually warned him, hey, don't stay inside after midnight. But of course he stayed. And at exactly 12 a.m., the bells rang. The catch? There was no bell tower, no mechanism at all. Just the deafening sound of midnight bells echoing repeatedly through these empty stone corridors, a sound the locals claimed had been happening for centuries. Now compare that to the right side. Sight without substance, 1912. A merchant ship crossing the Pacific Ocean spots a very visible landmass. We're talking green hills, trees, the whole shebang. But as the ship gets closer, the island just slowly fades. Within minutes, it disappears completely into thin air, not a single trace left behind. Just imagine standing on that deck, watching solid land literally erase itself in front of your eyes.
Now, obviously, as investigators of these mysteries, we need to look at the science impartially, right? Modern studies actually give us some pretty compelling natural explanations for these phantoms. Take the Scottish castle. We know now that architectural structures can sometimes amplify wind vibrations, basically acting like a giant instrument to create those bell-like echoes. And as for those wandering Pacific islands, well, historical maps are absolutely full of them. Today, we know they could just be optical illusions caused by atmospheric distortion, ocean gas emissions, or maybe even submerged volcanic structures that temporarily pop up above the water before sinking right back down. So sometimes, nature's just putting on an elaborate magic show for us. But even with these logical answers, you kind of have to wonder, right? Is it really just nature playing tricks on us? Or are we glimpsing a memory trapped inside stone and an ocean showing us something that maybe shouldn't be seen? So, moving right along to Empires of the Deep, it's time to leave the surface behind and plunge underwater to explore these monumental anomalies on the ocean floor that really challenge our recorded timeline. Okay, the year is 1986. A diver is exploring the quiet waters near Japan when he makes this absolutely startling discovery. Resting right there on the ocean floor are these massive stone formations. But here's the thing, they aren't just jagged, random rocks. They're steps, platforms, walls, and they are all arranged in this incredibly precise geometric order. Honestly, from a distance, it looks exactly like a submerged city, just holding its breath beneath the waves. Let's move to this next piece and see how it builds into a terrifyingly fascinating global pattern. Notice the stark contrast here. On one side of the world, in the waters near Japan, we have that 1986 discovery of the Stone Empire, those submerged steps and platforms we just talked about. But then, on the entirely opposite side of the globe, back in the Atlantic Ocean, off the eastern coast of America, we have the 1942 Glass City. Remember those glowing, geometric street patterns spotted by our WWI pilot? Well, decades after that pilot wrote in his logbook, advanced sonar technology actually revealed unusual formations on that very same Atlantic floor, patterns that simply do not match natural geology. So what we're looking at here is a global phenomenon of underwater geometry.
And this brilliantly illustrates the fierce ongoing debate within the scientific and historical communities. Are we looking at natural formations, or are these artificial constructions? On the natural side of things, geologists argue that underwater erosion, strange ocean floor anomalies, and just sheer coincidental patterns can carve stone into shapes that mimic human architecture. Fair enough. But on the artificial side, observers point to the precise alignment of these steps. This advanced geometry really defies random chance. I mean, if these are artificial, it means we are looking at a prehistoric advanced society. A forgotten civilization that built along the coasts when sea levels were much, much lower and were eventually swallowed completely by rising waters. It would essentially mean that long before recorded civilization, something advanced was already here.
Next up, vaults in the ice. We're getting out of the water and heading into the freezing extremes to examine some truly chilling anomalies hidden in the coldest, most remote regions of our world. Back in 1963, an expedition team entered a remote, snow-covered valley in Alaska. At first, it was just, silent winds and mountains. But then, the environment actually began to turn on them. Their instruments just completely failed. Compasses started spinning randomly. Watches malfunctioned. Radio signals broke down entirely. But honestly, even more disturbing than the failing tech was what happened to the environment around them. It just dropped into this absolute unnerving silence. No birds, no wind, no movement of any kind. Just an empty, terrifying quiet. And on top of all that, the team found strange patterns carved right into the rocks, symbols that did not match any known human language. When that team finally returned, the psychological impact of that sensory deprivation and environmental anomaly was undeniable. Some members later reported something incredibly eerie. They said time felt different there. Now, from a scientific standpoint, we can look at this and suggest heavy magnetic anomalies or extreme mineral interference that warped their instruments. That makes sense. But whether it was a superdense deposit of magnetic rock or something truly unknown, it's clear that some places on Earth behave in ways that can just shatter our perception of reality. Speaking of shattered perceptions, let's look at the ultimate frozen mystery, Antarctica. Antarctica wasn't always this frozen desert. Millions of years ago, it was actually a lush, green ecosystem covered in forests, rivers, and life, long before shifting climates buried it under kilometers of ice. Now, jump forward to the 1950s. Radar scans start hinting at something almost impossible beneath that ice. Then, in 1978, a research team detects unusual thermal anomalies. Their instruments were recording heat where absolutely none was expected. We're talking subglacial lakes and rivers kept warm by geothermal heat. And some folks on that team? They even claimed to hear faint vibrations echoing beneath the frozen surface. Now, what's really interesting about those classified 1950s radar scans is the specific subglacial anomaly they revealed. Because they didn't just find mountains under the ice. They detected a perfectly geometric structure. It had flat surfaces and circular patterns. It resembled nothing less than an entrance, a sealed chamber, basically a locked door. And no natural formation really matches that kind of breathtaking precision. Now, while some scientists naturally lean toward, highly unique subglacial geological formations, others just cannot help but imagine a sealed vault hidden away for thousands of years, a perfectly preserved world in the dark, where time itself might have stopped. And that brings us to secrets beneath our feet. We are shifting focus from these remote global extremes directly to the ground right beneath modern civilization. So in the early 20th century, across major American cities, this really fascinating pattern emerged as urban growth just absolutely exploded. Let's trace how this happened. Step 1. Crews begin these deep excavations to lay modern foundations for new buildings. Step 2. The digging suddenly stops because the workers accidentally strike buried brick walls and paved stone pathways. Step 3. As they clear away the dirt, entire hidden corridors and old empty rooms are unearthed. These were sprawling subterranean networks that were far older than the modern cities being built right on top of them. And honestly, they arguably had much better real estate value. So why exactly are American cities sitting on top of hidden underground cities? Well, let's neutrally look at the two prevailing historical theories here. On one side, we have urban expansion. A lot of historians believe these were simply early settlements that were just quickly paved over, buried, and forgotten as these cities grew at such a rapid, unchecked pace. But on the other side, there's the deliberate survival theory. This idea suggests these were intentional underground networks built specifically to hide and survive extreme floods or conflict.
Whichever side is true, the accounts from the people who actually walk these unearthed spaces are definitely chilling. We're talking reports of strange echoing tunnels, unexplained lights flickering on old brick walls, and the distinct sounds of movement in these empty, buried spaces.
So the crucial point is this: our world is not just a surface. It is a layered archive of mysteries. From cities of light hiding deep in the Atlantic to warm, vibrating lakes beneath the Antarctic ice, right up to the echoing brick tunnels beneath American streets. Today, cities around the entire world sit on layers of forgotten history. Beneath modern life lies older life, and beneath that, even older stories might still exist. Which leaves us with one final, undeniable question to consider. Whether you're walking the streets of the USA, Canada, Australia, Hong Kong, or Thailand, what exactly is buried beneath yours?